Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to study the quadratic equation topic of class 10. So, why? First of all, I want to say over here, why do we study quadratic equation? So, we study quadratic equation specifically because we need to solve higher class mathematics, and for that purpose, to simplify our calculation, we use quadratic equation. It has a lot of application in physics also. So, first of all, we should know what is the meaning of the word quadratic. So, quadratic comes from the Latin word that is a quadratus. And quadratus means a square, a power of a square. You can see power of 2, that is called that is power of 2, that is the meaning of a quadratus, and from there the word quadratic has arrived. And in the and as it is showing quadratic equation, so means there is some sort of a polynomial is written, and in the polynomial equal to the sign is used, and there is also use of power 2. Then it is called a quadratic equation. So first of all, let me write something over the board. Now ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. I have written on the board, and from the board you can deduce that this ax square plus bx plus c is equals to 0. And over here, this is the type of a this is what we call a standard quadratic equation, in which a, b, c are the constants. A, b, c are what? A, B, C, बच्चों, they are constants, and x is the variable over here. Means they have some fixed values, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, whatever they fixed value, and x is the constant. X is the variable over here, and this equal to a sign we have used. If there was no equal to, then what it will be? Then it will be a polynomial. But due to the equal to a sign is present over here, that is why it is called an equation. And this is a standard. This is how standard quadratic equation looks like. Okay, so we can put any values over here. And one more condition is also you should remember over here, that is a is never equals to 0. Is never equals to, because if suppose if a is equals to 0, what will happen? This a will multiply the 0 with 0 will multiply with x square, and this part will be 0. And what we will left with? Bx plus c is equals to 0, and this is what? This is the linear equation. So this one of the important condition, you can essentiality you can think of, that a should not be equal to 0. While b and c they can be 0. If suppose if b is equal to 0, what we will have? Ax square plus c is equal to 0. This is also quadratic equation. Suppose if c is equal to 0, then what we will left with? Ax square plus b is equal to 0. This is also quadratic equation. So these are quadratic equations. But what is necessary? A equal to question should be there, and a square or a power of 2, highest power of the variable should be 2. The highest power of the variable should be 2. Or if it is greater than 2, then it will be called as a cubic equation. So always remember that. Now, how can we solve this? What is the purpose of studying quadratic equation? With the help of the quadratic equation, our job is to find the value of the x. In the equation, the solution of the x, or in the other words, you can call them the roots of the. These words are interchangeable. You can call them the solution also. You can call the roots also. So your job is to find the roots of the x. And how can you find them? Now see, there are two methods to solve any quadratic equation. The first method is called the factorization method. To find the value of the x, or the roots of the x, or the roots of the quadratic equation, the solution of the quadratic equation, you find the first method is called the factorization method. Remember that. The first method and the second method we will come upon. First method is the factorization method. For example, I have written a random equation of x square minus 5x plus 6 barabar 0 equals to 0. This equation I have written over there. Now, I want to find the roots of this equation. Now, how can I find the roots of this equation? Now see, with the help of the factors, I have to factorize this quadratic equation. How can I factorize it? The first, you should always think of, if there is no constant over here, suppose there is no, if there is no coefficient of x square, what will happen? We have to factorize 6 in such a way that either by multiplying them or by adding them, so that by multiplying them I should get 6, or otherwise, and by adding or by subtracting I should always get the 5. This should always be clear in your mind. So what will I do? I'll divide the 6 into 2 parts. You have to create the factors of 6 into such a way that either by multiplying them you should get 6, or either by adding or subtracting, and by adding or subtracting you should get 5. Let me repeat it again. You have to factorize 6 inside. You have to make the factors of 6 in such a way that either by adding them you get 5, or by subtracting them you should get 5. Those factors, and the product of those two factors should always be 6. So I am coming across, there is 2 and 3. We can easily think of. Because by multiplying them you will getting 6, and by adding them, because subtracting them by subtracting them you will get 1. But while adding them, you can easily get the 5. So how will I split? So that is also called a middle by splitting method, middle term splitting. This factorization, how will you do it? By middle term splitting. This is the middle term that will you split into two parts. X square minus. In the bracket you will write 2 plus 3. Overhead you can write x and plus the 6 is equal to 0. Now what will you do? You will multiply the x to the inside of the variable. Now x square minus 2x. This minus I will multiply by 3. That is minus 3. And this x will also multiply. You know how to solve the equation? 3x. Okay, plus the 6 is equal to 0. Now what do you do? Now you will factorize it. And to this equation you have to study, must have studied in the class 9 how to factorize it. You have to take the x common out of it. X will take common out of it. You are left with what? If you take x square and x square, if you take the x out, you are left with x. Minus 2, if you are taking the x, you are left with minus 2. See in this part. Over here, this is of minus and this term is of plus. So what you will do? You take the minus out. Mostly try to take this x positive. This is of the same sign which is in the previous bracket over here. So and over here the x is positive. So so in this bracket also I'll take the x positive. So I'll take the minus sign common over here, and in these two terms I'm thinking only 3 will come out. So what am I left with? X and minus the sign will interchange. Minus come. You are left with 2 equals to 0. And in these two terms, in these two expressions, if you are taking common out, you are left with minus 2 and x minus 3 is equals to 2. So what you will do? Now you will take out the values. X minus 2 equals to 0, and you will get x equals to 2. And from here you will get x equals to 3. So what I am saying, by the first method is this. By the factorization you can easily solve the quadratic equation. Now the second method you should always think of the second thing. You should always remember in the by the second method how can this is the first method. The normal or the easy quadratic equation you can easily solve by the factorization method. You can easily find the roots of by the help of a factorization. There is one more method. One of the this is the universal way to find the solution of any quadratic equation. Suppose the quadratic equation is large, big or small, or suppose there are some certain values of at the c or at the constant part where you are not able to get the values of, you can say their values are very big or it is not easy to factorize, or there's so this is the final, you can see this is the quadratic formula. The second method to solve any quadratic equation is to find the value of x, that is the quadratic formula. Always remember, and this works for each and every video. This works for each and every for the video. This works for each and every type of quadratic equation. Either it's easy or it's being hard. For example, if I'm saying for any quadratic equation, and what is the formula? You just have to write the formula and you have to put the values over here. So what is the formula? X is equals to minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac upon 2a. This is what a standard quadratic formula looks like, and by the help of this formula you can find you can solve any type of a quadratic equation. You can find the roots of e. This is a universal method, as I said, and there are two signs, positive and negative. It shows this means you can get if you or in the other one I can say if the roots are coming you can say irrational or complex, then you use this type of formula. So one root you get the roots are mostly same, but they have I would not say same, they have a different signs. One is positive and the other will be negative. So the roots will be of and the same, but the numbers will be same, but the sign will be different in between them. So this is what a quadratic equation looks like. And over here, this part b square minus 4ac. This b square minus 4ac is also called d. And what is the d stands for? D stands for discriminant. And this plays a very crucial role in a quadratic equation with the help of the d, with this part only, b square minus 4, where the b is this part, the coefficient of the x or the coefficient of the single power of x. C is this constant, remember, and a is this coefficient of x square. With the help of b square minus 4, you can easily find out that the quadratic, how the nature of the quadratic equation. So what is the meaning of a nature of a quadratic equation? Means if I'm saying suppose if d is greater than 0, then roots will always be equal. The roots will always be real and distinct. If d is greater than 0, then you have a real and distinct roots, different roots. Means 2 and 3, and your x value is 4 and 5 or 6. Means the answer, the roots of the x will be there. You will get a certain number. That will and both will get two numbers. They both will be real and they both will be distinct. And what is the meaning of real? Minus 2 also, we can plus 2 also, 2 upon 3, and therefore you can get the if d is greater than 0. If d is equals to 0, then you have a equal roots. Remember, then you have a equal roots, and they will be real also. Real and equal roots but real. but they should be real. Remember that. Equal roots and they must be real. You should remember that. And if b is less than 0, always remember, if b is less than 0, then you will have a real, then you have a complex, you have a non-real roots, you can say. If b is less than 0, you always remember, then you have a non-real roots. Remember this. Always remember this type of thing. Okay? That's all for today. Thank you.